Whew, what an experience that I just went through. So we are here in Paris to cover the Gilets jaunes, which means yellow jacket protest. And you might have seen on the news, it was crazy. And I was right there in it, reporting for Rebel. Let me explain a little bit. You'll see these people wearing yellow jackets, gilets jaunes, yellow jackets. And these people are protesting a multitude of various things. They're upset about mostly Macron. Everyone's really upset about Macron. And the government, tax prices you'll hear about a lot, carbon tax, immigration. These people are also upset about immigration, and these taxes kind of play a part with the immigration because immigrants are really employed, they're not making money, they're just benefiting through the government benefits, and it ends up being the taxpayers that are compensating for that. So taxes are just insane. And people are so upset about it, they decided to protest in the Arc de Triomphe. Why people are wearing these yellow jackets is because everyone is required to have them in their car. It's mandatory. So when you get out of your car and you're doing something on the street or something, you have to put on the yellow vest. So they all gathered wearing these yellow vests to the Arc de Triomphe to protest Macron and all of these things. And I wanted to see what it was about. So we went, and as we started approaching the Arc, there was a bit of mist in the air. It smelled like sulfur. And it wasn't so bad, and we got up. We could tell that there was a bit of noise going on by the Arc. But the closer and closer we got, the more pops and bangs there were. And then suddenly the scent of sulfur wasn't just in the air anymore. It was actually really burning the nose, the eyes, and it became really uncomfortable. And that's why everyone was wearing gas masks. So I wanted to see what the action was, get right in there. So when we got to the Arc, there was definitely more action. There was police everywhere. People were screaming and protesting and angry about Macron. And then there was just more and more smoke. Things started to get way more hazy and uncomfortable. Everyone was crying because of the tear gas. People were helping each other put eye drops in. And the more things became heated between the police and the protesters, the more violent things became. Police were wearing riot gear. They were not only shooting this gas, but there was the rubber pellets, the rubber bullets, and they're very large. This is the size of the rubber bullets that the police were shooting into the crowd. So it became pretty dangerous and volatile. In fact, last weekend, there was a lady that lost an eye because of could you imagine this going into your face? I mean, it's incredible that I came out safe and I wasn't even wearing any gear. I honestly wasn't expecting this type of protest being this way. There was a guy that we were with that was hit by one of these, and look at the damage that it did. This broke skin. Another person got a broken nose from these bullets. So we got kettled in. The police were everywhere. They were spraying water hoses with these trucks, and the Arc de Triomphe is in a circle. So the police were surrounding the perimeter while all the protesters were in the middle, and they were shooting all of these bullets, these plastic bullets. The tear gas was crazy. It's important to remember that these are police orders. Macron is gassing his own people. While we were there was even one of the Antifa guys who ended up attacking a police officer. And he started raising his shield like he had victory over the police. And it's a really interesting story because when he was attacking the police, he really beat him up. But there was the other yellow jackets, the Gilets jaunes people, that ended up protecting the police and saving him from the fellow protester, far left protester, who was attacking him. Once there was tear gas in one area, everyone would run because it's very uncomfortable. It was making us gag. People were vomiting. They were very uncomfortable. So once these things would shoot, we would shuffle to another side of the circle. And what they did was they trapped us on all sides and shot tear gas and pellets to the point where we didn't know where they wanted us to go. At that point, it was just punishment. And it became so unbearable that me and my partner with this crew, were like, we can't handle this anymore, and we begged the police to please let us out, because the police weren't letting people out. They wanted you in there, and they wanted to punish people that were in there. They didn't want people coming in, and they didn't want people leaving. They just continued to spray the gas and pellets. We're gonna get hit. We gotta get away.
I don't know where we're meant to go.
Oh, wait, we're with the protesters.
Where the fuck do we go?
With the police. Just let's get beyond the barriers. Tell them, because they're gonna hit us. We gotta just tell them we're pressed. I can't do the smoke anymore. Just, excuse me, we're with the press.
We get out.
I can't handle the smoke anymore. This way. I'm gonna ask them, excuse me, we're with the press, we're not with them. Can we just get out? Thank you. We came back to Paris burning. We originally got out of the cab, and instantly there was police chasing the yellow jackets. They were shooting more of those cannons, and at this point I knew what was going on and realized this was not safe. I did not want to be in the middle of any of these plastic bullets, so we got out of there and decided to walk around. And as we approached the Arc again for the second time at night, it was incredible. We walked down the street, and the first thing we noticed was a shop store. A shop store had the glass broken, it was looted, there was things all over the place, and the store owner was very angry. She was visibly upset. This is her business. This is a local business, and they were looted. And I didn't understand why this was happening, because I did see some of the protesters throwing bottles and doing things, and I was like, why is this happening? And someone said, oh, those are the leftists. Those are the leftists. And I didn't want to just come here and tell you, oh, these are leftists, and just say that to you without any evidence. But when we saw these lootings going on, every time there was a store looted, it's really interesting that you would see an anarchy sign. You would see Antifa. There was always an indication that it was far leftist. There was no indication that it was anyone else. So there are normal people at this protest. There are regular, everyday workers. It's not a political thing. There was left wing, there was right wing, there was clearly Antifa, there were right wingers, there was normal working people. But this looting and the disaster that came afterwards, and all of the fires and all of the burning cars flipped over, they all were signed and tagged by leftists, Antifa. And this is the proof. People are very angry at Macron, and the press reported that he said, "Come and get me." So during the protest, there was a sign that said, "We're coming to get you." I mean, this is another revolution that people are trying to make. There's graffiti that even say revolution. And I think it is time. People are very upset. This is a very good indicator that the tide needs to turn. But I would just be careful of exactly who is looting and creating destruction, because you don't want this type of far left extremism to ruin this point. You want this point to be good and to be true and to help France become France again, instead of just crazy destruction and third world behavior. The people are demanding referenda. They want change, and they want it to be in the hands of the people, not the government. I also want to point out that in this footage right here, you can see Antifa graffiti on the Arc de Triomphe. I mean, as someone that's into art and culture, and if you are supposedly a nationalist, why would you destroy one of your most amazing monuments with this kind of graffiti? Apparently, these people care more about Antifa than they do for France. If you'd like to help cover some of the modest expenses of this fact-finding trip, please go to rebelfrance.com.